Welcome boys and girls. So since our legendary Rhino Dragon is just in the hatchery now, we now have the chance to start working on breeding the legendary Orca Dragon. So we have a very similar breed to the Rhino Dragon with the Orca here, in the fact that we need to massively level up 2 dragons, and they also need to be enchanted. And also to breed the Orca, you do need a breeding den of level 6 or above, otherwise you can't breed him. But the 2 dragons that we have to level up here are the Agave, or Agave, obviously, since everyone likes to tell me that I say it wrong, but the Agave and the Beetle Dragon. So the Beetle needs to be enchanted to level 5, and the Agave needs to be enchanted to level 6. So we will start off with enchanting our Beetle Dragon to as high as we can, but then we will need to get him to level 50 plus before we can then actually finish off the enchantment that we need for him. So with a lot of these enchantment breeding dragons, the main problem is just having the food available to level them up to their needed or necessary levels. So here with Ankin, we can get him a decent way there. We can get him to around about level 35. So we've got another 15 levels to go for him, and then we have the Agave Dragon to level up as well. So the question is, how difficult is this Orca legendary to breed? Because he's a legendary water and void dragon, another not very aggressive dragon, but might work on some really gimmicky teams. But the Orca Dragon himself has a lot of possible outcomes, very similarly to the Rhino. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different possible outcomes. But, to be fair, a lot of the outcomes are 8 hours or below. So, even though it is still going to be a tough breed to actually, succeed in, for the most part, actually breeding the Orca isn't going to be as difficult as some of the other legendaries out there. The main thing to remember, of course, is that because the Orca is a legendary dragon, his breeding time is 2 days normally, reduced to, 1.5 days roughly when you have VIP on. But we waited so long for this legendary dragon to get released in the game, and it just sucks that such a little cutie pie is so annoying to actually get the dragons for. And I'm hoping that next time, after all the effort that goes into, collecting the food necessary to level them up, the materials necessary to enchant them as well, I'm hoping that it's not just extremely anticlimactic and we end up getting it on as a first or second try. I mean, don't get me wrong, breeding dragons super quickly isn't a bad thing, but it's just when all the effort goes into the actual leveling up and upgrading, and then none of the effort goes into the breeding itself, it just feels like, how? How does this even happen at the end of the day? So, there's the introduction to the Orca. Obviously, you can find all the information on the wiki yourself as well if you were curious or needed to know, but it's definitely a dragon that we are going to be trying to breed soon, and we've got nothing else to breed at the moment, so I think we'll just go for a second Rhino. Why not? Nah, not quite that lucky. It's all good though. We don't really have anything in particular to breed in between these enchantment breedings, so we'll just go with that for now. So, before we go and do our map fights to go and get some food and stuff like that, we do have the new Whalemart deal this week, and so there is an interesting deal at the front, 150 Dorbs for 10 gems. I don't really see the use of this, to be honest. It just seems like a waste if nothing else, but if you really want to finish the event off, then I guess that is a little bundle for you. We have 100,000 food for 1 million gold. I mean, sure, I would rather just have the immediate food, even though that's really not even that worth it. And then finally, the other good deal for this week are the Dragon Piece tickets. So we get 1 ticket for 15 scrolls. Dragon Piece tickets are always super good to hoard in terms of, in case we get special events. So I'm going to take that immediately. And then the other 2 deals that we have are the gem deals. So 99 gems for some void materials is bleh. and then 75 gems for realm dragon pieces. It is cheaper than you'd expect, but it's still severely overpriced because the realm dragon is just a really expensive dragon as a whole, so I am not going to be purchasing those pieces personally. So now that we've got everything sorted here, I think what we're going to do is we're going to activate Mr. Kronos so that we can collect a little bit more food. It's just the amount of food that is required for all of these dragons being like level 50 plus is in the tens or almost hundreds of millions by the end of all of the enchantment breedables that we're going to have to breed, especially for the end game enchantment breedables. So things like the Sandshade and Scully, for example, are going to take so much effort to breed. And they're not exactly the easiest things to breed either. Oh my god, we just got 20 gems! Feels good, boys! 20 gems! Just for one ruin exploration. That is actually so cool. Again, I don't know what it is, but from exploration, we've been getting so many gems recently. I remember there was a time when I was like, I'm not going to bother doing exploration because, well, it's a lot of effort and I can't be bothered to keep putting the dragons in. But the more I keep doing it, the more gems I keep getting, and I'm like, why was I not doing this all along? I know that I've always told people to do it, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know what you should be doing, but either out of sheer laziness, boredom, whatever it is, you just don't do it anyway. But then as soon as you start doing it again, it's like insane. It's like, oh my goodness, where are all these extra resources coming from? If only I'd have been doing this before. Who would have thought, right? So, yes, my main goal at the moment is to get those enchantment breedable dragons up. It is also to be collecting enough trinkets to upgrade Joko as well, because Joko, he does need his level 3 enchantment level up. And of course, while we're doing that, we need legendary mats for Andy as well. So, all in all, we are just going to be spending a ton of our enchantment materials. Luckily for the dragons that are, like, enchantment level 4 or below, they don't use that many materials. Especially the ones that need, like, metal and whatever else that we literally could not care less about. I guess that's the good thing about having a team that doesn't have too many elements sometimes, because it means that all of the other dragons that need enchanting for whatever reason, you've basically got an endless supply. Well, that's what it feels like anyway, because you have like 20,000 void materials and 18,000 energy materials as well. Obviously, if we ever need them for our next main dragon, whenever we level him up, might take a little while to actually formulate the amount of food necessary. Not food, materials necessary. But, you know, this game is grindy. Nothing new. We expect it at this point. We do it to ourselves by constantly wasting our materials and food on everything. So, that's what we get. Because I tend to want to focus in on very specific things at certain times, but then I sort of end up derailing a bit and then focusing on like 4 things sort of half-heartedly instead. So you know that we need Joko up, but then I sort of changed my mind and now we're going for these other legendaries instead. I think it's just more so because, you know, we've got nothing to do on the main map. I can't really be bothered to do arena fights anymore. And enchantment battles are boring without having anything to do them for. So, DML really is one of those games where you sort of have to pick your own battles. It's like, if you don't have the time to play the game for like an hour every session, or you don't want to have to play every part of the game all the time, then just choose the specific things that you want to do. And then just, you know, form your team around that. Because obviously if we were coming back to the game all the time, doing our battles all the time, doing everything that we should, I'm sure we'd be a much higher level. We'd have a ton of level 100s. But it's just, sometimes with games, it's not always the best idea to force yourself to do the things that you don't want to do. At least in my experience, because the more you do that, the more resentment you grow towards parts of the game. And I've said it a lot, especially recently, that, you know, I'd rather just, you know, chillax with this game rather than get burnt out, find it annoying, and then just suddenly not want to play for a whole month, but play it anyway. And then just be all negative and wishy-washy, and everyone goes like, Quacks, why do you sound so depressed? You know, I get it. I get why it can come across like that, so I'd rather just, you know, do our own thing. Do our own thing. And look, these two are already ready, pretty much, so how many materials or trinkets do we actually need for you, Joko? A few more. A few more. We're getting close, though, because we've only got that one material left, and then he will be up to Andy's level again. Andy, at the moment, we do have a lot of legendary materials that we need to upgrade as well, but again, that's all comes in the form of trinkets, and trinkets are the most annoying thing in the world to get hold of, apparently. So, we will be working on Andy, we are working on Joko, we are working on more enchanting. That is the gist of today. But, of course, the grand hope is to eventually get the dragons leveled up so that we can focus on getting that new legendary ORCA dragon. So, for now, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you then.